So Chelsea Football Club are all over the place. We know this. Chelsea Football Club are a disgrace. The running of the club is painful. They have taken us back decades, and I don't know if it's irreparable. This is all in a couple of years of Clearlake. There have been terrible mistakes made. Some of them are discussed. Some of them aren't. Maybe one of them is Mauricio Pochettino. And what I don't understand with regard to Pochettino is, why is nobody talking about it? Why does Mauricio Pochettino totally get a pass? When you think of some of the ire that is directed to, say, Eric Ten Hag, or some of the ire that was directed to Frank Lampard or to Graham Potter, none of it finds its way to Mauricio Pochettino. Mauricio Pochettino is not an elite manager. He is not even a particularly good manager. He has never done anything even borderline elite. And yet, there is a given. There is an assumed knowledge with Pochettino that he is the man for the job. He is very good. He's a very good manager. He has an excellent track record. He's done some wonderful things. He's done nothing. He made a pig's ear of that Paris Saint-Germain job. He'd won nothing with Tottenham. And people are incredibly generous and kind to his success. And I say success in inverted commas because he hasn't actually achieved anything. I never wanted him at the club. I did my best to conform to him because I know that I can be tribal. And to be totally frank, Mauricio Pochettino was always far too Tottenham for me. Mauricio Pochettino's place was crying in the away dressing room when Eden Hazard made him cry. That's where Mauricio Pochettino belongs. He didn't ever belong in the home dugout. But yet again, the ownership of the club totally try and eradicate any form of principle. There is no principle. There is no respect or nod to what has gone before. There is no appreciation of the history. There is no appreciation of the rivalry. And they went and employed him. So I had absolutely no choice. I had to try and conform. I had to try and get on board. And on some level, I thought perhaps it could be the right answer. A glass half full approach. Let's try and believe that Pochettino could be the right man for the job. Trust your gut, they say, don't they? Trust your gut. He was never the right man for the job. And he has made a pig's ear of it. He's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing. And now this is what I think is so interesting. Why isn't it discussed? Why not? On the I don't necessarily mean online. I don't even necessarily mean by people like me. I mean in the true old-fashioned definition of the word journalism. Why aren't people talking about Pochettino's job? They certainly spoke about Potter. Now, before we get into it, I need to let you know that I've partnered with NordVPN on this video. Trust me, everybody needs a bit of VPN action in their life. It has elevated my life beyond recognition. You know the 3 p.m. blackout? It doesn't apply to you if you simply sign up with NordVPN. That's right. It allows you to watch goals from all over the world. It allows you to watch goals from the Premier League. It allows you to watch matches that perhaps you shouldn't see. You know, when you go on Twitter, sometimes it will tell you that this goal will not be served in your location. Not anymore. All thanks to NordVPN. And guess what? It is so affordable. It is comparable to the price of a cup of coffee. And one login will allow you to partner with 6 different devices. So you can share it out between your mates. You can have it on your various different devices. NordVPN is the VPN action that you need in your life. Trust me. There's no risk attached. It is completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you try it out and for one reason or another decide that it isn't for you, you get your money back. No risk at all. Literally no jeopardy. And there is more good news. There is even a discount if you use my sign-up code. All you have to do is head over to nordvpn.com/Rory. The link is, of course, in the description below. Hope you enjoyed the video. And I just think that there is this boys' club that don't want to upset the director of comms at Chelsea. And therefore, it's not being discussed. If Graham Potter had won 2 out of 8 home games, 2 home games all season, I'll tell you what, we would have been discussing it. Mauricio Pochettino had a full pre-season with these players. He signed 11 players and he had a full pre-season. Now look, on some level at Chelsea, you are set up to fail. You certainly haven't been dealt aces, but you've been dealt a playable hand and you should have won more than 2 games at home all season. And when you think about the teams that Chelsea have beaten at home, we've beaten Brighton and Luton. That's it. That's it. Forest have won at Stamford Bridge. Villa have won at Stamford Bridge. Brentford have won at Stamford Bridge. We have beaten Brighton and Luton only. And away from home, by the way, it doesn't get much better. We've beaten Fulham and Burnley. We've won 4 games all season. Fulham, Burnley, Brighton and Luton. How are people not talking about Pochettino? How can people not see that Pochettino's not the right man? How can people not see that Pochettino's out of his depth? How can people not see that all of the reservations about appointing a Tottenham man to the Chelsea home dugout was an error? An error. It's all coming to fruition now anyway. Not one thing has he done that I'm impressed by. Not one. Has he improved the performances of one player? Like, compare it to Sean Dyche. Compare it to Sean Dyche at Everton. And you look at the performances of, say, Abdoulaye Doucouré under Dyche. Abdoulaye Doucouré, prior to Dyche, under Frank Lampard, was ostracised. He wasn't part of the team. He wasn't valued. He wasn't rated. Dyche comes in, gives Abdoulaye Doucouré a new lease of life, a new opportunity, a clean slate. Suddenly, Abdoulaye Doucouré has scored, 11 goals under Dyche's reign. He's improved him. And there's loads, by the way. Branthwaite, there's loads that you could talk about at Everton. Because the manager has come in and had an impact. Emery at Villa, come in and had an impact. How? Come in, had an impact. Pochettino, literally none. Not one player. I can think of a few, however, that have regressed, but literally not improved one player. We don't have European football to distract us, which is apparently what European football does. And yet, somehow, nobody's really talking about this. This should be back page news. This should be being discussed on every single platform. Mauricio Pochettino failing Chelsea. Failing at Chelsea. Being part of, we talk about the mistakes that Bowley has made. And there are countless. I mean, at the start of the beginning, he overpaid for the club drastically. And that is part of the reason why he's having to try and recoup as much money as possible. But one of his mistakes, look, Mudryk was a mistake. Enzo Fernandez was a mistake for that amount of money. Caicedo was a mistake for that amount of money. Mauricio Pochettino, appointing Mauricio Pochettino was a mistake. And it was there for everyone to see. Just think about how Lampard and how Potter's results were scrutinised. But for one reason or another, Mauricio Pochettino gets away with it. Now, look, I never wanted him at Chelsea. Everybody knows that. I mean, just far too Tottenham. But I know that I can get it wrong. I know that I can be tribal. But listen now. Remove all the tribalism and look at how he's conducting himself. He's begging for more money. He signed 11 players and he's begging for more money. In fact, he signed 12 players and yet he still has the audacity to ask for more money. The geezer spent 400 million quid and he wants more money. What about improving the players that you've got, Poch? What about actually elevating the standards that are already there, Poch? What about you do something rather than just begging for more money? What about you respect the traditions of Chelsea and you don't flirt with Tottenham a couple of days before we played them? What about you respect the traditions of Chelsea? Serial winners. Serial winners. You know that more than anyone. Battered you in a cup final. What's he doing? What's he doing? Telling me that Chelsea are a mid-table team. The geezer is telling me Chelsea are a mid-table team. We weren't a mid-table team when we were slapping him up at Wembley, left, right and centre. It's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. And look, the easiest thing to do is to talk about these owners. But let's all just be completely honest. Mauricio Pochettino needs to be sacked. Like, I don't even think it necessarily solves the problem. But persevering with a manager that isn't right for the club doesn't solve the problem either. Having a culture of sacking and, being a sacking club or whatever, you need to preserve a relationship with one manager, maybe. But not this one. This one should have never been appointed. And look at the teams that we've beaten. And look at the way, we've back-to-back defeats. Look at how we've been battered everywhere. St. James's Park, Old Trafford, Goodison Park. So depressing. But this is what happens. You appoint a Tottenham manager and you become Tottenham. And that's sadly what's happening to Chelsea here. We are all over the place. We're a shadow of our former self. And this is just another example of Clearlake and Bowley ripping the heart out of the club. Respect the traditions of the club. Respect the rivalry. And respect the fact that a Tottenham man doesn't belong in a home dugout at Stamford Bridge. Clowns. Nightmare.